All right, so we got episode 12 or 13. I don't even know what we're up to now, but this one's a special one. This is the first one that we're doing father-son, which I think is really cool because we've talked about a lot how, the family has a lot to do with the kid's success in wrestling. And, it's not an easy sport to do on your own. So the Atlases have always been great to the program, and they were great with Kirby. And, it was a great relationship we had there. Thinking about doing it again, maybe with Mitchell and his dad too. That'd be cool. But so let's start with you, Kirby. And for the people that are listening, I know Kirby graduated in 2013, I believe.
Yep.
So not that that was very long ago in the grand scheme of things, but people newer to the Greeley wrestling program, Kirby was an all-section wrestler his senior year. Qualifier, I believe, 11th and 10th grade. Really tough guy for us and was one of the first guys that bought in. First question, Kirby, just to start up, and normally this is what we've been doing with everybody, is how'd you get into wrestling? What made you start doing it?
Well, it was mainly DeBellis pestering me enough to the point where I finally decided to give it a shot.
It's a very common answer.
I know, I was going to say that too. Every once in a while.
I jumped into it a little bit when I was a lot younger, kind of fell out of it a little bit. Honestly, when I got to high school, didn't have too much direction really. I finally decided to jump in there, and I fell in love right when I jumped right back into the room. I broke my thumb, I think my very first match or my very second match of my freshman year, and put me out for the entire season. And I just remember wanting to get back in there ever since. But it was really just DeBellis eventually bringing back in. But once I hit the mat, it was all over from there.
That was the Rye tournament. And, I was probably talking to your mother saying, listen, wrestling has the lowest amount of injuries out of all the sports. Kirby breaks his wrist the first tournament. But do you remember, I believe, I don't want to get in any trouble, but I believe that when you started wrestling as a freshman, didn't we, kidnap you?
Yeah, you guys, I think you guys kind of dragged me into the room eventually.
Yeah, we blocked the door. You couldn't leave.
Was it literally – did I hear this story? Did Scotty pick you up or something?
Yeah, he was Scotty basically just bear hugged me and dragged me into that room, but I didn't leave.
This is years before me. Mr. Alice, do you remember when Kirby first decided to get into wrestling? Like the decision?
Yeah, well, he as he said, he did it early on when I guess it was Kaleo when Kirby was like in 4th or 5th grade. He did it one year, and he did really well. And like the end of the season, Kaleo took him to this. I think it was in 4th grade, and he took him to some 5th and 6th grade tournament. He did really well. So next year comes around. I said, okay, time to sign up for wrestling. He said, no, I don't want to do it. I hate wrestling. I don't want to do it. And he kind of had an aptitude for it. I tried to push him. I followed wrestling for a long time because wrestling was pretty big where I went to school. He wouldn't do it. And gets to high school, and I hear this thing where DeBellis dragged him in, and Scotty pinned him down. And I pushed it. And then I met DeBellis picking up from one of his first practices, and classic DeBellis line is like, "You should stick with it. Got good hips, really good hips. Got good hips." I had no idea what that meant.
Did, though. That is a classic line, but I coached Kirby, and Kirby did have pretty good hips. So DeBellis might use that, but that time he meant it.
But it came from you, and you know what? As he said, he missed almost all of his freshman year, but he hung around and went to the matches. Then he started working out with you guys, after school and things like that, and he took it from there, and I think it was great for him.
I think what Coach, you've been talking about buying in, and when do you buy in? I think Kirby bought in right away.
Oh yeah, I agree. Kirby, that whole group really did a really, really good job.
It was a good group.
But Kirby and Bing Bing especially were easy, I feel like, because they were just nice kids and they wanted to get good at wrestling at the same time. And not to say Scotty wasn't. Scotty's a great kid too. They just had different personalities. Like Kirby was very easy to say, we're working on this today. This is how I want you to do it. And he was never, always on point. Do you remember, Kirby, when you decided kind of to say, all right, I did the little youth thing with Coach Kaleo. I got hurt my freshman year, but I'm still part of the team. I'm doing the right stuff. I want to take this a little bit more seriously, past just, maybe going to the club or whatever it may have been that triggered you. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember when actually it was probably when I was in the hospital, and I just remember I kept asking Coach, it was like, so can I get back on the mat? And I was looking at my hand. My hand was as big as a baseball. And he's like, no, you can't get back on. I just remember just really being motivated because then I heard there's someone else who was on the team. He had an older brother who he broke his arm and then he came back and he was like even stronger than ever. He had like a younger brother, but I just remember hearing about that and it just really, I was like, I can do that. So I just started, I remember started working out, started doing push-ups every day, anything I could really do, even with a cast on, and just getting better and better. And then once I got back on the mat sophomore year, I really started going to Iowa Style at the time. And then I remember just started getting, pin after pin. I was like, I think I found something that I was actually good at because, like I said, not too much direction, and wrestling was something that really resonated with me.
I think, Kirby, if you remember, after freshman year, you missed the whole season, but they sent you up to JV sectionals up at John Jay. And you did well up there. It's like, okay, I could do this. And they came back next year and wrestled varsity.
Well, you actually came back from that injury during the season.
Yeah.
Because that was the first tournament of the year. It had to be December 1st, say. So you were back in February, probably around February 15th or something. Wow.
Yeah, no, and I remember just doing that tournament, and it was something that I actually really connected with.
He's a driven guy. I mean, like we were talking about before, that group was great. I feel like it's been in it's been in bundles, kind of. It was like Kirby, Bing Bing, Scotty, those guys. Then it was like, Brock, Andre, and those guys, and then it was Sasso, Nadler, and those guys, and now Jacob, Aaron, and Matt, and. Like we said in Scotty interview, Kirby, like if it wasn't for you guys, Scott, Jacob, Aaron's, and the Matts of the world wouldn't exist. If me and DeBellis got together and you guys weren't believing in what we were doing and really wasn't getting results, why would a Jacob Ferreira sign up for youth wrestling or Matt Schreiber? And so you guys really had a lot to do with that. Could you tell a difference? Because your senior year, we were good. We were really good. We were top 5, I think, and we had 5 all-section kids, I believe.
5 guys went to the semis.
Yeah, so we were after day 1. We might have. I think DeBellis, you said 3rd, but I think we were in 1st. I think there was definitely heard over the loudspeaker.
I remember them doing the announcement at Pace University at the end of the day, and we were in 3rd place. And I remember it because Coach Kuzma was there, and I think he was his first year back as AD, and he was a big fan too.
He is a good guy. But Kirby, my question was going to be, do you remember like the transition, right, from like your sophomore year when you just qualified, I believe, but it was just like you and Scotty were like the only 2 there or whatever, or maybe Russo, and then your junior year there was a couple more guys there. And Scotty made the finals, and Russo took 6, but we still weren't there yet. But we had a good dual meet record. We were getting better, and then your senior year, boom, here we are. Do you remember like the transition through those 3 years, kind of?
Yep, I remember it's really at the time for when divisionals and sectionals came around. I remember the first year, it was just me, Scotty, and Russo were the only ones that went. And then the next year after that, I started seeing more and more of our guys going, and some of us were starting to win divisionals like my senior year. When I first got that, I really started seeing a ramp up. And then by my senior year, when we all took pictures, we all took a picture on all of us sitting on top of the mats, all the sectional qualifiers. And I was like, man, like just seeing like the whole top of the mats filled up as opposed to the very first year that I went when it was just the 3 of us. I thought it was just really cool. And I see really how far we came.
I think we lost to Bellis, but he'll be back, I'm sure. But if you guys were watching, did you get to see Bing Bing's interview, Herb?
I started watching a little bit of Bing Bing's. I watched a little bit here and there.
Well, we had Marino jump on because he's been like a co-host here and there. And he had like a slideshow in the back. And that was one of the pictures of you guys sitting on the top of the mat. And it's really cool because like, I think DeBella's coach, did you have like a send-off thing you did for that year? Like there was.
Did you guys notice I was gone?
Yeah.
Oh. I just carried on, huh?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Ken, do you remember when Kirby was really starting to buy in and go to the club and do all that extra stuff and how he was maybe at home about it and, all that?
Like I said, he did well at that JV sectional, but he was kind of he was happy he did well, but he was kind of bummed. It's like, it was just JV. And we went up to see John. And John says, leave him here for a couple hours and come back. And I came back and said, I can make him a wrestler. And that's kind of when he bought in. And, you guys are giving credit to the wrestlers, but, you 2 guys really kind of built the program. And I told the Bellas from day one, it's like, you build it, they will come. And you guys, no, I did. Remember that? Me telling you that.
Sure.
Very first practice, like I was with Dela Cruz. It was Dela Cruz, the very first guy put me up against, and like I had listened to things about Dela Cruz, but I knew that was the way to buy in. And we went head to head, and he gave me a bloody nose, and I just like I loved it.
See, but you're special in that sense, and John doesn't really do it as much anymore. I kind of miss it. Even like up to a couple of years ago, he would do it. Like if a new kid came in the club and they could kind of hold their own, they weren't like completely new to wrestling. He would grab like the best kid in the club around their size and say, "Go with them," and let them get beat up a little bit just to kind of see where you want to be, you know. But a guy like Kurt, you know, Alex is one of our coaches now. So Alex is a great guy, but he is not like the most. When he wrestles, he's not the most friendly guy in the world. He's trying to take you out. So like that's a tough matchup just to get right off the bat, you know. So that's pretty impressive. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
No.
even Kirby, when he wasn't wrestling freshman year with the injury, he was going to the practices, and he'd come home. It's like, you know, these guys are real. And the seniors at the time, I can't remember. Was it Lefkowitz was the captain?
That's the year before me.
Could have been, yeah.
Those guys were actually really good guys that took care of looked after the younger guys on the team. And as opposed to some of these other teams, without mentioning names, like Greeley, where, people are more self-centered. I always felt that the teammates on the wrestling team were better teammates than some of the other teams Kirby played on. And definitely sitting in the crowd, the parents were a lot more supportive of the other kids on the team other than their own kids. I could say, soccer team, all any of the parents cared about was their own kid. And wrestling, everybody picked up everybody else.
You hear that a lot, though, which is interesting. And I think I credit it a little bit to, like, the culture me and Coach put in there, a lot to the kids. But I also credit it to the sport itself, because it's so hard. I feel like a lot of people, like, and Coach, I forgot which episode we were talking about this, Coach, but, like, all my good friends are people I like. Every single one of them, because – the struggles that you kind of go through together, it's not easy, and it leaves a lasting impression. So I feel like it's a lot easier maybe to be cool to your teammates because you guys are going through the struggles together. And I mean, I'm happy to say that it's carried on past Kirby and those guys because, this year Isabella was our captain. She wasn't our captain because she was a girl and that was like a cliche thing to do. She was our captain because she was the hardest worker and really her results were the best. And she, but never was there a problem. Like the boys looked up to her, they listened to her. Like, I feel like if this was another sport, it might've been more of an issue. Right. So I feel like we kind of, we're super inclusive with things like, that. And we got the Hojins and the Bradys who are great additions to our team and everybody welcomes them. No problem. So I'm glad guys like Kirby and Scotty and Bing and then lead the way on that. I feel like, but although DeBellis before I came, like Mr. Atlas was saying, like what was his name?
Lefkowitz?
Yeah, like he was a good guy. The guys before
Andrew was a good guy. Yep.
It's been
all were. I mean, Dennis Poggi was our first captain. Well, it was when I first took over the program. Dennis Poggi, and he was a very good captain too. He was really good.
He was a freshman when I was a senior. So
he's a nice kid. He's doing very well. I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the camaraderie of the guys on the wrestling team, and I don't know if it's all wrestling teams. You guys would know a lot better than I. But I was just. From day one, I was really impressed with that.
I would say it's a lot of teams, but not like us. I don't know. Like being that I coach at the club, I get to see a lot of inside of other teams. I would say the teams that are successful a lot of times have close bonds. Like the Fox Lane kids are really close to each other. The John Jay kids seem to be really close to each other. But when you find a team that's a little bit, I don't want to say their coach is less interested. I don't know what the right word is, but maybe it's not as involved. They're riding solo a lot of times. They'll come up to practice by themselves and they kind of make more friends with the Empire kids instead of they're just their teammates. But I feel like Kirby, you still keep in touch with some of these guys, correct?
Yeah, yep. I still talk to Bing Bing every now and then. Scotty used to come up every now and then as well to Connecticut when he would hunt our property. But really more than anything, just like the whole thing about wrestling just connects people like that. It's just every day, like especially the people from Lehigh even, like, I'm best friends with people that that wrestled as well in the past, and we're still sending each other flow wrestling videos all day long throughout the day, just talking about it, like, look at what Yanni's doing, like this and that. Like, it's just wrestling just connects people like that. And even at work right now at Amazon, one of my managers, he was like, he's in the Hall of Fame in Tennessee for wrestling in high school, and just he really connects people just like that.
You could probably take him. Hall of Fame in Tennessee. You're a New York wrestler. Come on. You could probably take them. But I'm going to ask both of you this question, and D, jump in if you can remember, because I'll think of something for me. I have one for me too. But I've been asking this in a lot of interviews, and it could be different for all four of us. But we'll start with you, Kirby, because you're the man of the hour here. What was your most proud moment as a grilly wrestler? It could be anything.
I know what it is.
I got one in the top of my head right now.
I got one too.
Honestly, I think it's really just, and it goes along with when people kind of count you out and count against you, and they put you in as the underdog. Remember, it was my senior year. Remember, I had my first match with Scott Rodriguez from Fox Lane. The very first time I beat him, I remember it was like 10. It's like 10-6 by like the, it's like this, the hair of my nose, but it wasn't a good match for me. I felt like he was catching up at the very end. It wasn't good. I didn't feel like it was a great win. And then going into sectionals, I had him matched up for the semis, and I remember in the low HUD, they had they said, I think it was going to be a match for Scott. Scotty was going to go through him and stuff like that. They saw potential because of his brother, this and that, yada yada. I didn't let it get in my head. And I remember going in there and just putting on the gas and then pinning him in that period. And that was definitely the biggest win. I still have a picture of all you guys hugging me afterward and get my hand raised. That was definitely a big moment for me.
Damn it, Kirby, that's mine.
That was mine too.
I remember reading the low HUD that morning, and Vince Marcagliazzo or guys like he picked Rodriguez, even though Kirby was seated higher. So yeah, he's got the pedigree. But it's like, and I remember Anthony, your father said, it's like, I talked to your father about it beforehand. It's like, father's like, well, he's not wrestling Steven. He's wrestling Scott. Don't worry about it.
True.
Good advice.
In the first period, but look at the video again. It's still on YouTube. He had him done in the first takedown in like 5 seconds of the match.
Yeah,
great.
I love A-Rod, Coach Rodriguez, Scotty's dad, Steven's dad. I mean, he's still close with us. He still comes to Greeley practices with the Fox Lane boys a lot and whatever. But, man, his reaction to that loss was epic. And, as a competitor, I'm sure Kirby probably didn't even know this because he was so happy he won. He wanted to see you guys and the coaches and everybody. But I remember watching A-Rod take the gum out of his mouth and chuck it. Like, he was so mad that happened. And, as a competitor, it's like you're not happy somebody's sad, but you're like, yeah, we got you. That was good. So that was awesome. You did really well last week. I believe your senior year was a good tournament.
Oh, yeah.
That was the next run. I was excited about that.
And then I got third place the year after that. And I was just
tough tournament, man. That's tougher. That's tougher than sectionals to me.
Oh yeah, 100%. That was the guys from all around the states.
So that was a good tournament, but sectionals is where it kind of builds up. So I feel like the Scotty match in the quarters was epic. You guys have any other memories that you remember, like something cool? Ken, maybe you have something better being dad. It's so many things. They kind of blend together sometimes.
I'm trying to think. But that, in terms of matches, that was a big one. But, even seeing him come out, sophomore year after his injury freshman year.
That's awesome, yeah.
And we really didn't know what to expect. And he ripped through. I think the first tournament may have been, for him, may have been Greeley Duels his sophomore year.
Probably, yeah.
And he ripped through that with 5 quick pins.
He must have got MOW.
Yeah. And I think and I think Greeley Duels. I think he was. That's my driveway alarm. Sorry about that.
Oh, the house was on fire.
I think Greeley Duels. I think he was probably 15-0 over the 3 years. But it was a Greeley tournament. I loved going to that. And as you guys know, I still go to that one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you go this year?
Did I go this year? Sure, I did.
Darn it. I think that's the first event I've missed in God knows how many years. I mean, my damn baby had to be born the night before. I got to talk to him.
You got to set your priorities.
I thought you were going to show up.
Wait. I mean, we could do this for the interview series. I guess we could put this out here. But we had the baby. Kara's looking at me like, Aunt, we're not going. I'm like, okay. Then like 2 days later, I show up at practice like unannounced. And they're like, what the hell is this crazy person doing here? And I didn't even coach or nothing. I walked in and just showed my face and like walked around the room one time and like talked to him for a second and left. So they were like, this guy's crazy. So, but yeah.
If you have it. Hopefully you guys could have it.
Fingers crossed.
It's hard to socially distance in wrestling.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That is true.
Let's not even go down that rabbit hole because if we don't have wrestling this year, I might actually lose my mind.
Tell me.
Maybe we can do thumb wrestling.
Maybe you shouldn't give them any ideas.
Yeah, no. Rock, paper, scissors.
So Kirby, not to I'm losing track a little. So your sophomore year is when I came, right? And DeBellis and I were coaching together, and I think Coach Marino was there. Danny Hall was not there yet.
Not there yet.
So it might have been just us three. And do you remember, like, we talked about how you already bought in, but, you know, Coach DeBellis was doing it basically by himself your freshman year. You know, who was your assistant? Was it Marino?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
Maybe
Marino's
Tom
the man.
Peterson. Maybe Tom Peterson too.
Tom Peterson's a good guy too. But like Marino's the man. We're actually trying to bribe him to come back because he's such a good asset. But do you remember when us three got together? Things probably changed a little bit, right? Do you remember like seeing it and being like, I don't know, this is what I signed up for? Or like, you know, was it different? Was it hard to like get into it, or like, you know, I don't know.
It was definitely a little different, but I definitely remember just like, you know, I heard about you, but when you first came out, I was like, who's this Yahoo? Like, and I remember from like my first year, like this and that. So, but once, you know, you definitely were getting really into it and we're getting into your coaching style as well. I was definitely brought in, I think, just a little bit more because, you know, I knew how you were still connected with John, and then you were getting me to Iowa style even more then, and I definitely liked the extra push.
It was fun, man. That was a fun time.
The one thing you guys, you and DeBellis, you know, again, versus a lot of different sports I've seen and a lot of different coaches, when someone walked off the mat, when one of your wrestlers walked off the mat, win, lose, or otherwise, the way you treated them, you know, a pat on the butt, a high five, and it didn't matter if it was, you know, the best wrestler on the team or best wrestler in the section, or it was an exhibition JV match. You would never know sitting in the crowd who was coming off the mat. And I think that really differentiated you guys. And it helps a lot of the guys who are starting out and who aren't as experienced, makes them feel good and buy into the program. So
that's really cool. I mean, I never really thought of that. Like, we probably do that naturally, right? We never even really talked about that. But
I definitely saw that too. And I kind of based a lot of my, like, you know, when I first got on as captain my junior year, I definitely, you know, exemplified a lot of what, you know, DeBellis and what you did, Anthony. I saw how you guys supported everyone, and that's really how I based a lot of my my leadership, like, off of when I was just, you know, looking around the room at a lot of the younger guys, making sure that they all have all the same support that I would still give any of the other guys on the varsity team as well.
Kirby, who was captain for junior year? It was you, Scotty. Who else?
Me, Scotty,
Russo.
trying to think. I remember it was another senior.
Had to be Russo.
Yeah, it was Russo.
Was it you three?
Yep.
Okay, because it's so hard to remember some of these things, but yeah, like you said, I mean, that's a really nice compliment. This year, DeBellis, I don't know if you remember when Jason Tavolacci, his older brother Mike, is a little better. Not better, more experienced, a year older. And Jason got his first varsity win this year against Pauling. And he pinned the kid. I mean, I think we had the match won and everything already. And my sneakers must have been loose. So he was so happy that he won his first varsity match. He runs off the mat, hugs me. My shoe falls onto the mat. I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, but, you know, we were happy for him just as we would be for, you know, Aaron Walk winning a state title. You know, it's at the end of the day, you know.
But Jason has a huge upside, you know.
Oh, he could be great. He could be really
great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's athletic, he's strong, and he
how are his hips, Mike?
Enjoys it. He's a freshman.
How are his hips, Mike?
His hips are good. His hips are good, and his brother's hips are good too.
Michael's very good, but
listen, there's some people out there that have terrible hips. Their hips are on the mat all the time.
Yeah. Kirby, do you follow really a little bit anymore? Have you heard of some of the guys?
Just a little bit. I more so fell off a little bit after Aaron Walk left and Ferraro and all those.
Well, that was only last year, so it wasn't not that long ago. So this year I was talking, I think it was Scotty. We were talking about how, like, when we first got together, DeBellis and I, you know, you guys were very inexperienced. You know, I don't know how we did that sophomore year, but it wasn't great. You know, we were kind of just buying in, getting into it, whatever. And by senior year, you guys were really good. This year was the same thing where I feel like we had to rebuild again, and I'm excited to see them make that same jump. And hopefully they watch these interviews and listen to guys like you and follow the code. So going off of that, like, what would you recommend maybe a young wrestler do to succeed in the sport, you know, whether it's weightlifting, right? Like something that helped you, you know, it doesn't have to be as generic as like, hey, go to the club, right? It could be something bigger if you can think of it.
Yeah, that's obviously a part of it, because that would really just, you know, I found myself going there 4 times a week, you know, after practice, still just getting in extra hours every day. But, you know, trust the process. It's not easy when you start out. It's really not. It's hard, you know, but for me, it was a little different. I still think I'm a little crazy in the head. I just like getting my ass kicked. I just thought it was so great. You know, I got a little sick enjoyment out of coming out of there with scars and bruises and my face just all massively beat up. But I just love it. But, you know, just really trust in everything and just keep working hard. But lifting out on the side and just getting in whatever extra practice and everything you can. Like in the off season, I was doing cross country running 10 miles a day, just anything you can to keep yourself busy in the off season. And just like, it was really a 12-month job for me when it came down to it. It was 12 months of the year that I really just kept going. And I think that's really the best thing is just keep pushing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I mean, Coach, you could get on this. You could actually talk about this because you've brought it up in a couple of interviews. That what you said, like 12-month year job, you're doing extra, you're doing all these things, right? And you said before that you work at Amazon or with Amazon. And Coach has brought this up in a bunch of interviews. Like, do you take any of those, you know, the wrestling skills you learned in a sense, like the work ethic into your real life?
Absolutely. So I'm a manager at Amazon. So I have technically a team of about 60-something people that I'm in charge of. That it's kind of just like the wrestling team. It's the people I look after, I support, I develop, everything like that. And I've taken persistence, the hard work ethic, and just the overall support the wrestling has given me. And I take it into just about everything I can in my everyday life.
Now, you recently came out of retirement for Pin for a Cure over in New Jersey, right? Was that Jersey?
Yeah.
Jersey?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Wait,
So
can I jump in before you even get here on this? This is what I want people to hear that's watching this interview. Kirby's dad went out there, same thing, coached him, wanted to be there. And it goes back to the same thing we've been talking about in a lot of these episodes. Like, without parental involvement, like, it can't be done. And, like, Kirby, I feel like, and Kirby, you could answer this for me after I say it. This is just my mindset. I feel like Kirby really wanted his dad to be there too because, you know, his dad did so much for him through high school, getting him to practice, getting food ready, volunteering for Greeley, helping us out, being a great father all around for all the kids and all that stuff, that he wanted him to be there. Because for me, even as a 33-year-old, I wanted my dad to be there because he went along the ride with me, you know, and I feel like let's do this one more time. You know, it's fun.
Absolutely. It was definitely the sentiment for me. I want him there. You know, he's been there for, I don't even think he was matching high school or anything. Every single time I had a match, he was there. And then I even asked him, I was like, I want to get you a coach's wristband. I want you to be the guy on the side of my mat, which getting that win, my last win, even though it didn't end up so great, but getting that win at the end with him coaching me is definitely huge. I think parent involvement is massive. And it's not easy. It's not easy being a parent in it. I can only imagine just watching me suck myself out, doing the weight cut. But, like, it's not like something that some parents can be a little crazy about it. But, you know, my dad and my mom, they never forced me into anything. They were just supportive of me and knew that this is something that I wanted to do. So just having a parent support is definitely a huge driving force in wrestling.
And it was my pleasure because he was always so pleasant when he was cutting weight. It was a pleasure to be around.
Oh my gosh, Kirby, you didn't cut any weight for that though, did you?
So
he bulked up.
So I did a little bit, but then I was going to cut down a little more, but then I was just a little, you know, I was still a little out of shape. So I eventually ended up going up the weight class the next day, but no, I wasn't really cutting weight. But this year I'm definitely going to, whatever happens with the whole social distancing thing, I'm definitely going to try and do it again. But it was definitely something that I was really happy about doing. It's for a great cause, and it felt good getting back out there and getting a win again, even after not touching a mat for 5 years or something.
It's just fun getting out there, right?
But you had a lot of matches that day, didn't you? You had 4 or 5 matches.
Yeah, I think I had 4 matches that day.
Oh my God, it's hard to do 4 matches when you haven't wrestled a tournament or a 2-hour practice. You know, so you felt it a little bit after, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But even then, it helped me, you know, get back into lifting again because I realized how much out of shape I was. But it definitely got me going again.
It was great to watch. It was awesome.
Fun time. But we got to keep kind of doing that. Like, we had us out there. Nikki wrestled out there. Coach Elsa's son wrestled. I think we had 3 Greeley kids wrestle. Oliver, Michael, Izzy. We had a bunch of Empire kids. I had some of the City girls. The Taft girls were wrestling.
You know what we should do? We should host a tournament like that, an open.
We could do something, but the longer we do it, the less likely I'll wrestle in it. So,
hey, I'll be there.
We got Kirby.
Draw that guy you had in the first round again. If he's still alive, you know.
Ken, funny story. TikTok. Is that the app, Kirby? You're younger than me. You know it.
TikTok, yeah.
Yeah, right. TikTok, that like short video app. So one of the kids at the club, this kid AJ, sent me a text like a month or two ago. I'm like, what is this? It was a link to a TikTok video, and it was Just Wrestle TikTok page, and it's me wrestling that guy. And it says on the top, like, age doesn't matter. It had like 25,000 views.
That's awesome.
So, good thing nobody knows it was, well, I just told the world to go to Just Wrestle.
You told all 36 people.
All 36 subscribers I have.
You're
Actually,
internet famous.
I have 22. Don't make me sound bigger than I am. But, you know, but that was a great time. It was so cool seeing Kirby and his dad and, you know, being out there as almost like a team again. You know, I enjoyed that. I'm sure Kirby and Ken enjoyed that too. Hey, you're at Amazon. That girl, Lexi Bell, that was there, that was interviewing on Sunday. She's working the overnight shift at one of the Amazon factories. You got to work her up a little bit. We got to talk to some people. We got to talk to some people, make some moves, get Lexi Bell a better position. Jeez Louise. What she says she works 8 to 4 a.m. Ugh.
Yeah, something like that.
I was actually on the night shift about a month ago. I paid a little bit of time there doing the night shift, but I'm back on day shift. But no, I was working from like 5:30 at night to about 5 in the morning.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not into that. But yeah, I don't know, Kirby. It's been fun, man. Do you have any other like memories or something you want to say to the future guys or your dad or?
I mean, like I said, just trust in the process and everything. It's not easy. It's not easy for parents, but honestly, and whenever I have kids one day, I'm gonna at least try and push them into wrestling somewhat. It does add things for you, discipline. You know, to work hard. Overall, have a better mind. Something. I just always think I'll forget never getting that 100th win. I remember I ended my career at 99 and like 30 or something like that. And I just kept racking my brain, just thinking like,
oh, got 100
win. But it was just something I'll never forget. Just throughout all the years of being with you guys, and like I said, I'm definitely gonna try and get back into some charity tournaments and do some stuff here and there. Like they have a beach nearby in New Jersey that they do some beach tournament stuff. Just really cool stuff like that. But overall, I think wrestling is just great, and it's great for parents to get their kids to it as well.
Well, Kirby, you still look like a wrestler. You still look like you can get out there.
Oh yeah,
we did last year. It wasn't even a year ago.
I know, but he looks lighter right now, though.
He looks very
Are you lighter now than you were last year?
No, I mean, I kind of been the same weight, but since my senior year wrestling, I've gained like 50 to 60 pounds.
But muscle, you got big, Kirby.
Yeah, muscle. Definitely, a lot of it was muscle, but definitely gaining some fat as well.
Not me.
You know, Kirby, you were only a weight below me at that tournament. We were very close to matching up.
I even thought about it. I was like, hey, maybe I should just jump up and, we could scrap for old time's sake.
Oh, yeah, it'd be fun. But, just to touch on this before I forget, Kirby, then we'll wrap up pretty soon. But 99 wins, 3 years of wrestling is pretty friggin' impressive.
Right. We talked about that.
His freshman year, that's very impressive. I mean, if he had his freshman year, he would have been very much up in the conversation of wins leader. You know, now I think Aaron kind of took a nice lead there. But, you know, what's the number Scotty put up was what, 125-ish?
Yeah.
Something like that?
7, I think.
I mean, another season, he possibly got 25, 26 wins for sure. So, you know, that's a great career, Kirby. We're super proud of you, and we're super proud of what you're doing and working hard. And
we heard you're getting married.
Oh, yeah. So as of right now, the wedding is kind of on hold just because the place we're going to have it at, they're having some issues right now with the whole coronavirus stuff going on. So as of right now, it's a little up in the air. Might be next year, but yes, I am engaged right now.
Wow.
That's great.
Ken, are you excited to have some grandkids, get them into wrestling too?
You know, I've become so much bigger supporter of wrestling. And, you know, Kirby and I went to NCAAs a couple of years ago when they had Madison Square Garden.
That's awesome.
If I was about to say if he has a son or a grandson, push him into wrestling. But as you guys proved this year with Isabella, I mean, any kid do it. And you know what? It teaches, it teaches discipline. It teaches accountability, right? You're out there in the wrestling match. Again, let's get back to soccer. It's like everybody's pointing fingers. No, that was your guy. It was your guy. It's your wrestling. You have no, you know what? If you win, you've got yourself to thank for. If you lose, you got to work harder so you don't lose again. And, you know, not to steal Dan Gable's line, you know, everything you do after wrestling, once you wrestle, everything else in life is easy. But, you know, it really puts things in perspective. And it's a great sport, and it teaches a lot of character. And, yeah, so the answer is yes. I would definitely push any grandkid, whether they wanted to or not, into wrestling.
You gotta get back to Chappaqua then.
Yeah, you have to move back. Well,
Yeah.
it was a pleasure to work with you and Kirby and Kristen, and I mean, you guys did so much for the program.
Awesome.
You guys were
So
like, Mrs. Atlas was doing the program for us all that time. You guys, your group had a lot of stuff going on. You guys used to make bag lunches for the wrestlers. I mean, it was like,
well, they started it for us, Coach. I mean, I can't speak on the parents that you had before I got there, but like the Atlases and the Kleins and all them. And I don't mean to leave anybody out. There's so many of them.
the Mercers,
There were so many, but they all like really helped us out. Ferrera, well, that's like the newer, like, yeah, Ferrera's, Walk, Schreiber's. But like, yeah, we've been lucky in that sense. But you guys, just like Kirby kind of laid the foundation for the wrestlers, I feel like the parents kind of laid down the foundation for the other parents, because it seems like every year somebody's picking up something that somebody else did. And it started with the Atlases and that crew. And we've been lucky to be able to coach these kids and try to make them, better men and not women with Izzy. We don't have to deal with all the crazy stuff. The parents do such a great job with that.
Yeah, it really allows us to do the coaching, which is great.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, man. Well, Kirby, it's been awesome talking to you guys. Mr. Alice, awesome talking to you guys. We need you, Kirby, at practice. I don't know the last time you came to visit a practice. I'm not happy about that. It was good seeing you at Cancer.
You only
What's
work
that?
3 or 4 days a week, so you can come to practice.
Yeah,
Kirby.
I work 4 days a week for 12 hours, so that's why it's a little. But no, once everything dies down a little bit, I'm definitely gonna make my way to Chap. Like I said, I want my fiance to come with me too. I want her show her started and everything, so I'll definitely bring her along as well.
We need to do a real I think DeBellis does an unbelievable job. I don't know if this was a little after you, Kirby, but we had an alumni night. It might have been a little after him when we wrestled John J. Crush River, and the place was packed. Yeah. But we had like a lot of the 1968 people, and all of them were there. But now that me and Coach DeBellis have been coaching together for like 7-8 years, no, more than that, almost 10 years, yeah. We have a real alumni between me and him now. So I would love for like you and Bing Bing and Scotty and Brock and whoever, like the Sassos, whoever come and have a real alumni with our guys. That'd be great. Probably put all those guys back in the room.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? D, anything else, D?
Nope. Thank you very much.
Guys, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. That was awesome. We're going to stop recording. Hang on for one.